bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oh, yeah. Well. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Wednesday, February 8th, and I'm sitting here in the bunker tweeting, texting, messaging. But I'm here. Today's Wednesday, February 8th, 39 days into the new year, just 326 days left. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planets. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It's Wednesday, not Thursday. It's Wednesday, and it is Fader Night. A very special Fader Night tonight, so let me lay it down for you. Of course, we have Jon Rappoport with us and his big brain at the bottom of the hour. Top of the hour, special guest George Noory. He's going to do a drive-by and hang out with all of you. And then, of course, followed by open lines, 323-825-5045. We're going to open up the phone lines in about an hour and a half. We've got a lot of stuff to get through before then. But then it's going to be open lines, and I want to hear from you. 323-825-5045. Tomorrow night, everybody, we are taking the night off and getting ready for our special event Friday over at the Conscious Life Expo. More on that in just a bit. I wanted to mention really quick, one of our friends, one of our good friends, John Anthony West, has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. The news about this started to hit about a little over a week ago. And I wanted to hold things off because he's a great friend, and I just wanted this to kind of settle down a little bit. But yes, he does have stage 4 cancer, and Den of Lore is going to be holding a telethon for John this Friday, February 10th. Okay? And it's called the John Anthony West Project Telethon, and it will feature Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, Robert Schock, Laird Scranton, Edward Nightingale, myself, Joe Rogan. I think the Higher Side Chats are involved. Grimerica is involved, and many more friends will be there to help raise funds for Jaw's medical expenses. So the links are going up now in Twitter. So go ahead and check out Twitter, and the links will be up there. Okay, so this is going to go on Friday, February 10th. We will be broadcasting live also that evening from the Conscious Life Expo. And, of course, I'll give a big shout-out to Jaws from Conscious Life, and also to Den of Lore and the telethon that they are doing for John. So it's a very special event, and I just want everybody, as Fadernauts, to get together around our friend Jaws. Okay? All right. And let's perk up. Dude is a strong dude. All right? He's got powers. And we just want him to get through this, and we want to help him do that. All right? So there you go. Links are going to be up, and then we'll bust it out wide on social media. And please share it with all of your friends. Okay? All right. Moving on. Follow me on Twitter right now, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black, Jimmy Church Radio. Just go right now, follow, like, and subscribe. Head over to the website. Click on all the icons. You know what to do. The Sandbox tonight is Fader Night. Sandbox is already jumping off. I love it. You guys, I got, Twitter and the chat rooms. It just warms me. It just, man, it gets me going. And it's already on fire. So the Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We don't bite. All right. Any questions or comments during the show tonight? Hashtag F2BQ. Very simple. You can email throughout the show. I get to as many as I can, and I do. I pretty much read them all. If they get through here to me, I do read them. I don't always respond, but I just might. You never know. Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. And thank you to everybody that has subscribed to the podcast and help support the show. $2 a month, over 600 archive shows, custom apps for Apple and Android. Just go to iTunes, Google Store, search Fade to Black, and get it going. Just $2 a month. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner. Check out all of our sponsors, too. That's how this show moves on. And this weekend at Conscious Life, you know who's going to be there, right? River Moon Coffee. Yeah, man. Is going to be at the Conscious Life Expo. Click on all of our sponsors over at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo codes for discounts and free shipping. Everything is there in the banners, and that's how we get this show happening. All right? And as I mentioned, the first big conference of the season is kicking off here in 2 days, the Conscious Life Expo. It is this Friday, February 10th through the 13th at the LAX Hilton right here in Los Angeles, California. Tickets, the live stream. If you cannot attend, get the live stream. That's what you want to do. Get the live stream. Fade to Black is going to be live from the Plaza Ballroom. 14 guests. In living color, 1080p, stereo. It might even be a surround sound from the LAX Hilton. All right, tickets, live stream, and all the info you need are over at jimmychurchradio.com. And then Contact in the Desert's coming up May 19th through the 22nd in Joshua Tree, California. Tickets and info also over at jimmychurchradio.com. We didn't put up the stuff today. All right, just go to contactinthedesert.com. Just go there. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday today to the one and only Vince Neil. Today is 56. Our dead guys' birthdays today are James Dean, Gary Coleman, Lana Turner, and the man, Jack Lemmon. All had birthdays today on February 8th. OTD, on this day in history, it happened in 1587. After 19 years of imprisonment, Queen Mary, Queen of Scots, is beheaded for her complicity in a plot to murder Queen Elizabeth I on this day in 1587. Check this out. This is a Fader fact. This is one of those Fader facts that, and I go and I vet these, every day. I go and I double check and I just make sure. But this is one of those that I had to double check because Pluto is, by law, still a planet in New Mexico. That's right. That's a Fader fact. All right. Tonight's a special Fader night. We're not doing it tomorrow night. We're doing it tonight. And we have Jon Rappoport here with special guest George Noory coming up at the top of the hour. And that is because tomorrow we're taking the day off. Friday is our live special event. So tomorrow we're packing up the studio, packing up clothes, and heading down to the LAX Hilton. Okay, so that's what we're doing tomorrow. So we'll do a best of replay. Okay, so you still get a little something. And then Friday, you got us live, right? Okay. Let me hit this Fade to Black coffee because I'm about to stun all of you, and I'm going to feel guilty here in a second. But, it's my job. It's my job. Propaganda. Propaganda. Strange word, propaganda. Propaganda has been with us since the very beginning of time. It has. All leaders, wannabe leaders from small villages all the way up to kings and queens and dictators and presidents and prime ministers and businesses and public and private. Everyone has used or is currently using propaganda to forward their message, their agenda. Whatever they need to do to keep you motivated, to stay on point, to stay on message in the right direction. Well, their right direction. It's used every single day. This time around, though, my friends, over the last year, something strange it's occurring right now. Check this out. Just listen to me for a second. I need you to just get comfortable, light a heater right now, burn what you need to burn, and grab a drink. Because propaganda of the past, my friends, was difficult. It was hard. You had to print something and get it distributed. I don't care if you were going to go see your boy Gutenberg down the street, right, and printing up some flyers. And that's what you had to do to get your message out, to get something distributed. If you printed up 1,000 flyers, you had to create the art. You had to draw your pictures. You had to, get it the typeset or write it out. Find a printer, pay for it, and somehow pass them out. Walk down the street, tack it up on some walls, on some telephone poles. Think about what you had to do in the Old West. If you managed to get something printed, what were you doing, right? Going down to the horse trader and tacking something up on the wall. That's what you did. More than likely, though, the nobody would respond. It was tough, right? Maybe a dozen would actually get read out of the 1,000 or 500. Most were thrown away. And your fabulous story, your band, your message, whatever it is, just went down in flames. You print up 1,000 flyers. You're playing at a club that holds 100 people. You think 1,000 people are going to show up at the club? Well, that's what you're dreaming is going to happen. But 10 show up. It's hard to spread a message. It's hard to get it going. Propaganda is hard. Propaganda in the old days was difficult. You had word of mouth, flyers, right? Forget about radio and television. You can't really effectively do it there, and especially back then. Maybe you have a little more money, and you decide to elevate off of the flyer, and you pull an ad somewhere in a magazine, a newspaper. And again, same things, artwork, money, printing, and then they get thrown away. Forgotten. Your message, your fabulous message. You want to change the world, right? With your ideas, with your band, with your poetry, with your book. Whatever is just forgotten. It's hard. Spreading a message is hard. And the point of all of these efforts is to get people talking. That's why you do it. You do the printed message, and then you're hoping it's going to catch on. Something's going to take hold. And when that happens, the propaganda machine takes hold. Right? People start talking. But trust me, it's low and slow. It could take months or years to make something happen. Again, if it's a message, if it's an idea, if it's a revolution, if it's a band, nothing happened overnight. But those were the old days. Someone out there has figured things out. They figured out how to speed things up. And what took months what once took months or maybe years. Now, nanoseconds. The old style word of mouth thing. Well, back then you would have to be careful of what you said. But that word of mouth thing, that thing, you had to be careful. Why? Your face. Think about it. Your face. You can't spread propaganda. You can't go against the man. You don't know who you're going to offend, and you can be identified. Your neighbor knows who you are. You probably wouldn't just walk up to your neighbor while outside and say, hey, Frank, check this out. Who are you voting for this time around? No. You're not going to do it. You need to stay friends. It's your neighbor. Same thing with your boss or the guy at the counter where you get your coffee in the morning. They know your face, so you can't just spread propaganda, your ideas, your thing. You just can't. You can be identified. So the word of mouth thing that needs to catch on to that flyer, the printed media, they all go hand in hand to spread the message. Those rumors for change are slow. It would take time to take hold. People just kept to themselves. If you think about it, no matter what their beliefs or wants, right? People just kept to themselves. They don't want to really stir things up. And you're not going to go and march up and down the street yelling your message, trying to get people to listen, because then they're going to know who you are and they're going to think you're a freak, right? It's your face that keeps that from happening. But, and this is a very, very serious but, we are at a crossroads. Somebody has finally figured it out. A lot of somebodies. It's not print a flyer and wait a few months. It's the click of a mouse and just kick back and watch the waves of humanity flowing back and forth happen right in front of you. You click the mouse and you watch everybody react. Think about it. There are so many people on Twitter right now, thousands, that have millions of followers. Millions. Each. If you think about what I am saying here, and yes, the celebrities with 10 million followers, 5 million followers each, the government, the politicians, the heads of corporations, the CEOs, the corporations themselves, with millions of followers each. I need to drive this home. Each. A click of a mouse. Boom. Boom. The control of millions. Every time anybody tweets anything or posts something on Facebook with that kind of influence, with millions all at the ready, it's there for mind-bending emotional control. Think about that for a second. This last year has been tremendously difficult, and for the very fundamental reason that somebody at the click of a mouse can post an idea, propaganda, their agenda for whatever it is. Come to my concert. That music sucks. Whatever it is, governments and the waves of humanity are moving back and forth by the millions. The ebb and flow of the earth. You can see it. You can feel it. Enemies being made, the hatred, the nastiness, the happiness. All moving against each other and rolling over each other. Think about those tweets. Think about the words that affect you today. And it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Iran just fired another missile. The group flows in one direction. Millions. Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl. Oh, man, another group wades up to tsunami status and is flowing around the world. Immigration. Oh, here we go. Putin bad. Putin good. The ebb and flow working against each other. Brexit. Israel. Jobs. Terrorist strike. Again. The ebb and flow. The movement. The wall. Fake news. North Korea. Let's just get this world just churning against each other. Black Lives Matter. Milo. Sessions is a racist. Ooh, the ebb and flow. There's a car chase on TV. Ebb and flow. Ebola. My bad. Zika. Mortgage rates. The Fed. Pizzagate. Oh, let's just get this going against each other. Star Wars has got a new movie, The Ebb and Flow. Crimea. ISIS. Tom Brady. Oh, the just churning. Mexico. WikiLeaks. Refugees. Facebook. Syria. Insert. Iraq. The Dakota Pipeline. Hillary. China. Hackers. Just churning. Emotions. And it's all perfectly designed to mess with your head. And just mentioning these words right now messed with your head. It did just that. I know that it did. I know. Because it's guaranteed. They figured it out. And it's instantaneous. And if you think about it, seriously think about it, most of what was just said right now, that list, isn't real. It's not even real. It's stuff that doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you at all. Think about it. It's a mind game. I want to use another word right now so bad, but I can't. It's a mind game. Some of the stuff isn't real. If you think about all of the list of stuff that I just laid out there, Zika, Ebola, Pizzagate, oh man, Crimea, ISIS, Milo, who cares? Black Lives Matter, North Korea, the wall. The wall ain't even going to get built. Why? We already have one down there, and we don't need it. It just doesn't matter. But they'll use that to stir your emotions. Terrorism, the word terrorism and ISIS. Right now, Mexico. Why are they playing us against ourselves? Against a country to our south. Why? Because they can. They want to pit you against your neighbor. And it's working. Refugees. Wow, how did this become a bad thing? I don't get, but they figured it out. They have. The entire world right now, in the now, is so twisted up with propaganda that these waves of millions and millions of people are just moving back and forth, crashing into one another. Think about this. Never before have we seen so many so divided. The hate. And it's totally global. And it's being done for a reason. And I don't understand. Why are they setting us up for this? What are they doing? And what's the difference? What's the difference between the propaganda today and the propaganda of 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago? And I know what you're thinking, but it's not the internet. It is not. The internet has been around and running strong since AOL in 1995. So it's not that. It's that they figured out how to use the internet and what it comes with. Yeah, the obvious. Today we have Twitter and Facebook and media sites, and we get all of that. And they're all connected, though. They're all connected to cell phones and cars and you. That's what they figured out, and they didn't have that. They didn't have this ability 20 years ago. And if you think about it, 10 years ago, and with high speed, everything now, and video, and all in real time, instantaneous, and the influence of at a single click, it's one thing, my friends, it's one thing to post something on the internet, to post something on your website. What if only 2 people go to your website? What if 100 go? What if 2,000 people go? Not that big of a deal. It's like that 1,000 flyers issue, right? But if you control 10 million people all at once with a direct message, it becomes a numbers game. 10 million people. Let's get 1 million people to react. The other 9 million, we'll catch them later. Think about this. It's crazy. No more waiting for your flyers to get back from the printer. Nope. The man has figured out that your emotions are just a click away. All at once. But that's not what's most important. What is important here is asking the question, why get the entire world all stirred up and turning against ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, our children, all the way up, everybody, to the point where it's country against country? I've asked all of you over the last couple of years to step back, be careful, to question everything, to take a deep breath. Don't react. Somebody out there is messing with you, and I don't like it. And that, my friends, is my flyer. That's my flyer to all of you. Please share it with your neighbor. Let's get the old-fashioned word-of-mouth thing going right now. And together, all of us can change the world. Think about it. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is Fader Night. Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, followed by the one and only George Noory. He's going to do a drive-by, and then it's open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back with Jon Rappoport. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. In a world of GMO, genetically modified organisms, that is, chemicals, processed foods, and a healthcare system that's unraveling like a cheap suit, it's time to prepare. God created herbs, and herbs help man. Our body can heal itself, just sometimes we need assistance. You need some help? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our mild detox is quite powerful with its unique blend of 8 different herbs. And if you're looking for more, our non-GMO supplements will help you with different needs you might have. Health should be a top priority. Take care of your health naturally. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Give your body a treat. Let the herbs do their thing naturally. Read all the testimonies on the website, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Sickness and viruses are like intruders, and herbs are like warriors. Let the tea work for you. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fadernauts rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
And now, coming to you from the No More Fake Newsroom in deep space, which is the space that we suspect to be true, that the world, as it is fed to us every day by the Ministry of Truth, is a lie. It's a false reality, a movie projected on the screen of our subconscious. This, however, is the breakout. All the screens crash. They all go down, and we see the light of day. A new day. No more robots. No more androids. It's the No More Fake Newsroom with Jon Rappoport. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. Hello, everybody. Good to be back once again. Wow, lots of stuff tonight. Logic breaks the trance. Logic breaks stimulus response. If Pavlov's dog could apply logic, he would realize what kind of experiment he was in. And he would stop drooling when the bell rang, indicating that he might get food. He would say, no, I don't want to be part of this. So, what are we talking about? Stimulus response empire. The empire of the globe, a stimulus response. Bill Gates, the new Pavlov. For example, Bill's got a project now using something called, get this, the engagement pedometer in schools. He's breaking this out. He hopes to flood schoolrooms all over the world with this device, which is worn by students as a bracelet during class that measures whether they are engaged or not, whether they are bored or not with what the teacher is saying and doing. And this, of course, would be accompanied by videotaping of the entire classroom experience. And these two things would be put together. And there's even talk of somehow introducing MRI scans. Now, how this would work, who knows? But the engagement pedometer. See, Bill thinks that education is stimulus response. That's all he knows. That's all he thinks about. So, the student should not be bored. Well, maybe the student is bored. Maybe the student wants to think about other things, much more interesting and productive things. Or maybe the student is just tuned out because he doesn't know what's going on in the class. Or maybe he's not engaged because he already knows all the material. He's known it, but you see, these are not entered in. Engagement pedometer. So you can imagine what happens with the teacher. The teacher's called in for a conference. All right, we have a readout on all 37 of your students who are wearing the bracelets, And we have the charts up here minute by minute, second by second, in real time, along with the videotape of what you're teaching. And so we're going to show you the places where what you're doing and saying, your facial expressions, your gestures, whatever, all of it, is producing a preponderance of non-engagement as measured by the bracelets. And so we will teach you how to readjust yourself to the procedure in class and how to teach by highlighting those moments where whatever you're doing is engaging the students. Now, you've got people all over the world who would say this is a great idea. This is what we should be doing, of course, to keep the students interested all the time. No. This is stimulus response education. This is I do A, I get B. Everybody is now being patterned to think that way and to react that way and to learn that way and to live that way. That's what is happening. This is technocracy. This is what we're talking about. I've addressed the subject from a number of angles before. The use of technology to run societies, civilization, to run it. We've got Mark Zuckerberg now jumping into this pot. He is now funding with $50 million of seed money a new project that will use wireless microsystems to change physiological responses in the body to enable drug delivery, medical drug delivery, and the treatment of neuropsychiatric disorders. Change physiological responses is the key there. Think about that. For example, suppose researchers decide, we want to change the fight or flight response of the body. We want to be able to do that. We want to have soldiers who have no flight response, only fight. Or we want to have in the population no fight response whatsoever. Or this could be used in corporate advertising. Get people to buy products, change their physiological responses, tune them up to prefer certain kinds of products, to be intensely reactionary to certain kinds of products in a positive, heavy quotes, way, to buy the products. Now, this is even being taken further. Boy. The aim is to be able to record people's thoughts, and allow artificial intelligence to read those thoughts, and then as a bonus to imbue computers, artificial intelligence, with more human-like or human-like brain qualities. That's a mouthful. So this could even be extended, if it worked, to telepathic alteration. Well, this person's having these thoughts. You see, we have the readout here. So what we want to do is change that pattern of thinking. Well, if we alter certain physiological responses in the body, then we can alter those patterns of thinking. So let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Let me go on here, because now we're talking about DARPA, which is the research arm of the Pentagon. And indeed, DARPA has been doing experiments with the mice to plant false memories that don't exist, but now they do, and to remove existing memories. What would the long-term goal of this be? Well, to say, Mr. Jones, we want to replace certain negative memories that you have with false positive memories. This would be a form of therapy. Well, I'm not so sure that I want to get rid of all my memories. Well, don't worry about that. You'll never miss them. All we're going to do is just take away certain memories that you have that could be troubling to you or influence your behavior in certain ways. And we'll pick the right ones. You don't have to worry your pretty little head about that one. And then we'll replace them with very nice memories that never happened, of happy moments you never had, childhood experiences that never existed, and you won't know that that's what we've done. So as soon as the procedure is finished, then you will be remembering from time to time here and there experiences that you never had, and they will produce a sense of happiness. A sense of happiness. DARPA is also engaged in a program to be able to insert visual images directly into the brain, bypassing the perceptual, ordinary perceptual system, so that you would be walking down the street and all of a sudden you would see certain things in the street in addition to what you already see. And these images would be programmed and put into your brain without your knowing it. That sounds delicious, doesn't it? I mean, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Technocracy wants to control. This is, in fact, a continuation of MK Ultra, the CIA mind control program. Let's face it. This is the more sophisticated version because MK Ultra in its early days in the 1950s was mainly involved with drugs and hypnosis to try to influence behavior, to create assassins, to hypnotize people into doing things that they wouldn't ordinarily do, and then they wouldn't remember afterwards, and so forth. And I interviewed John Marks, who was the author of a 1979 book called Search for the Manchurian Candidate, which was all about the CIA's MKUltra program. And he had been able to put together a lot of information on various projects that had been previously buried and hidden inside the CIA. And Marx told me that in 1962, the whole thing at the CIA went darker than dark. It was already dark, but because certain revelations had come out in his book and in congressional hearings, the whole program was being sent into ORD, the Office of Research and Development at the CIA, and nobody would ever know. He was told by somebody at the CIA, you will never know what we're doing now, so don't even think about trying. Now, the conventional wisdom was, of course, that this program of MKUltra was stopped at the CIA in the 60s. But inferring from what John Marks told me, of course, it continued. And it continues now. And it's spread out over many areas. University research, Pentagon research, funded by people like Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, and so on and so forth. A neurologist named Phil Kennedy, who researches brain implants, was known to give this quote: eventually, we're going to, and here's the quote, extract our brains and connect them to small computers that will do everything for us, and the brains will live on. Now, presumably, he was talking about after death, because many of these technocrats have cockeyed ideas about how if they would just put their brains in a freezing unit and bring them back later on, they could be hooked up to computers, and then the person whose brain it was would continue to live. Well, of course, they assume that your brain is you and you are your brain and there is nothing else. And as I've discussed in great detail on this program before, that assumption has so many holes in it that you could drive a fleet of trucks through that. Consciousness cannot be explained by the brain, period, unless you believe, unlike conventional physicists, that atoms and subatomic particles, which obey laws of motion rigorously and rigidly and never vary from those laws, somehow has consciousness, these particles, which physicists do not believe, conventional physicists. So you see where all of this is going. The stimulus response empire. In the classroom, in the laboratory, in society, in the world, in hospitals, in conditioning centers, whatever you would want to call them. Well, we're going to send you for re-education. Well, that's already happening in psychiatrists' offices. The re-education in that case is done by drugs. Yes, we're going to give you a drug and it's going to make you feel better. And then the person takes say, an antidepressant, and sure enough, feels better, feels terrific. And then in fact feels so good that he goes over the top into a manic state in which he is now out of control and planning great acts of destruction. Or he falls into a deeper depression from which he feels there is no escape, and he rockets back and forth between the two. Well, that's a form of re-education. It's altering brain chemistry. But what these scientists now are looking at is a much more refined and subtle way of doing this with wireless microsystems, with implants, tiny implants that could, for example, be inserted into the blood system without going through the skull at all, and would somehow be coaxed and nudged up into the brain, where it would spy on neurons and report back as to what was happening at a neuronic level that would allow scientists to learn a great deal more about how the brain actually works from the inside, so that they could use what they had learned and these signals to alter neurotransmitter activity in the brain, neuron activity in the brain, physiological responses in the body, because the brain directs a great deal of that, how they could change the outputs of the endocrine system, hormonal outputs, and readjust all of that. And their cover story, of course, is that they are trying to cure diseases and disabilities. But behind that is this program. And I can think of no better ground level example of that than the one that I've explained and described in the classroom that Bill Gates is funding with a great deal of money, many millions of dollars, to revolutionize teaching at all levels. At all levels. And what happens when these researchers discover that some of these kids who are bored in class are really in a group that they could call outsiders? Well, you see, what we've discovered, Bill, is that these kids are not really bored so much by what the teacher is saying or not saying or doing or not doing. They're bored because they have a mindset in which they do not automatically buy into what they're being told. They have an independent set of standards, or they have an analytical ability to process information on their own. They have logic that breaks the trance, that breaks stimulus response. And so we are calling this set of students the outsiders. And we want to know, what do we do with them? Because they're not part of the paradigm. They're not part of the program. Well, I don't know. Let's see. What's your evaluation of these kids? What are the common denominators? Well, difficult to control, very difficult to control. They're not necessarily outwardly rebellious, but they keep their own counsel, and they don't buy automatically what is being sold. In other words, they do not respond to stimulus response. Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound very good to me, because what we're looking for here is predictability. We want the response that we desire to flow from the stimulus that we choose to introduce. So these outsiders would be, what would they be? Rebels. They would be, later in life, they could cause a lot of trouble. They could steer people away from being part of the, quote, community, et cetera, et cetera. You getting the picture here? In other words, we would be looking at the foothills here of Huxley's Brave New World. We have to figure out how to lower the number of such people in society, because they could be troublemakers. They could cut across the grain of what we're trying to do. Actually, this is a wonderful discovery that we've come across, you see, because we now have a way of identifying these people at a young age. And so we can try to steer them into becoming stimulus response children. And we can experiment on them in various covert ways and so forth to see if we can alter their pattern of response. And if we can find successful ways to do that, then we could introduce that across the board into this subset of children called outsiders and make them insiders. Now, believe me, this is not science fiction, in the sense that the intent is science fiction. The intent is quite real. The intent to do all of this and more is quite real. The science part is up for grabs. In other words, these people tend to over-exaggerate what they're able to do because they want grant monies, they want funding from Gates, et cetera, from Zuckerberg. But they have scientists all over the world who are engaged in one kind of brain research or another, who are busy little bees trying to bring these projects to fruition. That's where they're going. That's where they're heading. That's what they want. It's not just to disrupt, you see, because disruptive technologies are easy. You can put voices in people's heads that tell them all sorts of things. You can introduce frequencies into the brain that would cause anguish and pain and so on and so forth. I mean, there are acoustic weapons that'll do this for you. You don't have to go inside the brain in some subtle way. What we're talking about here is much more subtle and sophisticated than that. Because once you get into the arena of altering physiological responses and patterns, which are the natural processes of the body, once you get into altering those in a predictable way, in a repeatable way, all bets are off. All bets are off. All bets are off. And once you block a person's access to certain memories, if that's possible, all bets are off again. So I hope you're getting a flavor of what's going on here and the fact that there's money behind this. Zuckerberg money, Bill Gates money, Pentagon money, which is tax money that's coming directly from the government, university research money that's coming from foundations, that's coming from pharmaceutical companies, that's being contracted out by the military, et cetera, et cetera. This is in motion. And the goal, again, finally, Stimulus, response. It's always been there since the earliest dawn of civilization. Every leader of a tribe, a clan, a group, a village, or whatever, an empire, has always been thinking of ways to create a desired response from a particular stimulus. But now we're dealing with a tremendous wave of technology. The ability of an individual human being to reason, to use logic, to think, to analyze, to research, to investigate, to do all of those things at finer and finer levels is one of the best protections against a great deal of this technology. In addition to being able to spot it when it's being used and to understand that there are efforts to direct his behavior in certain areas. But if a person really knows what he wants, what he desires in life, what he wants to create in terms of the future, it is going to be far more difficult to influence the behavior of such a person than someone who just is, at sea, looking around, doesn't know, I don't know, whoa, okay? A lot more to say about solutions at some point, but that's my report for tonight. Thank you much, everybody, for being there. Thank you, Jimmy.
John, I'm going to have nightmares tonight, and I thank you for that. I absolutely thank you for that, for being at the front of all of this. You are a true gem, and thank you again from all of us here at Fade to Black. John, you are the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
That's all I have to say right there, man. Jon Rappoport, nomorefakenews.com. That's where you start off your day every single day. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Going to jump out of here. I'll be right back with George Noory, Coast to Coast AM. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you?" you don't even look like the same person. He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is FADERNIGHT. Open lines all night long, 323-825-5045. I'm going to open up the phone lines at the bottom of the hour. But right now, I would like to bring in the one and only George Noory, Coast to Coast AM. Good evening, George.
Hey, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing great, George. You're so uppity.
Of course. Getting ready for the big Coast to Coast show in 2 hours, and everything is good.
I just did that last night. You know who was on with me last night? I had Dave Schrader on.
David's a great guy.
Man, how cool.
As you know, he's made a change to podcasting.
Yep.
And he's happy, and he's starting to grow for him, and that's good.
Well, last night I forced him into 3 hours of live radio once again, just to make sure that he didn't forget his roots.
You're not going to do that to me, Church.
Hey, don't worry, George. We're going to run right up to 9:59 tonight.
Right.
You'll have plenty of time to start the show.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
and then I got to finish prepping it while I'm talking to you. Then,
and I'll let you do that. Before we get things started, because I have a few things I want to ask you tonight, but I looked through your West Coast tour that you've got going on here. You've got Southern California well covered throughout the summer, and that's pretty exciting stuff. And I want to get to that in just a minute,
sure.
if you don't mind. I hope I'm not going to embarrass you with this, but pretty cool list of events you've got going on here in Southern California. First things first, before we get to Conscious Life, which is going to kick off this Friday right here at the LAX Hilton, and we'll talk about those events too, is this. Fake news. Over the last couple of months, as the list was compiled and distributed about, certain purveyors of fake news out there, you guys made that list, George, coast to coast. Well, I guess I could say we, right?
We did. You're part of the team.
I share in that. How did that hit you?
You know what? Get the name right and spell it right. That's what I've always said, Jimmy, and that's the bottom line. The people who put together that list are not into studying UFOs and ghosts and extraterrestrials, and so they think that's all fake news. And if they would listen to the program on a regular basis, they would know that we bring in a number of researchers and experts who are darn serious about the work that they do. We don't pick sides. Never, ever have I said, I support this person, I support that. We lay it out for people to make up their own minds. That's not fake news. But in terms of stories, we've, dealt with the most bizarre UFO cases that you can imagine. Is that fake news? No. To me, the definition of fake news is intentionally putting on a story that you know is false and presenting it as real. That's fake news. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We investigate. I'm not the one. If somebody says their dead grandmother visited them at night, far be it for me to accuse them of lying or telling a fib. That's not what we're there for.
Yeah, I started getting hit with email. How does it feel, Church? You're spreading fake news. And I was like, wait a minute here. Which I have done, which you have done, we've all seen strange things in the sky. And if I report that, that is reporting of a real event as opposed to writing fiction, right? That's two totally different things. And trying to lump this and to have people come at me like that and come at you and other fringe paranormal type sites out there is completely unfair. And I was really surprised to see them rise up as quick as they did and started pointing fingers. I was kind of shocked about that. I thought that we would be in the clear.
Well, get it right. Like I said, spell the name right and let it happen. And that's exactly what they did.
One of the things, I just had Jon Rappoport on, and, we love Jon.
Good guy.
Yeah,
love him.
Yeah, love Jon. And the thing that we were talking about tonight, the subject, is the influence of not only, the fake news, but propaganda and the Ministry of Information out there and what is being driven in between people around the world in a global sense, causing an ebb and flow of emotions and creating enemies of neighbors, right? And your bosses and your children. And this great divide is being created. And over the last year, I've never seen the world in this kind of turmoil and this kind of hatred. Well, what do you think the end goal is with driving these wedges in between the populace?
Well, I got to tell you, I have been saying for a number of years on Coast to Coast, Jimmy, that I have never felt a time where more people are uptight, not happy, haters than this time period. There's something going on. It's not the election. It's not anything specific. It's just a mood. It's a mood of the planet. And we've kind of like moved into some kind of shift where people just aren't happy anymore. And when I say people, I don't mean everybody, obviously. But there's a great number of people out there who just aren't happy. They're road raging. They're upset. They're taking too many pharmaceutical drugs to, alter their minds. There's something going on. I can't put my finger on what the cause is, what the reason is, but it's there. There's no doubt about it, and people know it's there.
And it's instantaneous, too. The reaction, one of the points that I made, and you know how it is to influence people because you have that ability, you have that power of the microphone every single night, millions.
I changed the human mind.
To being a bright ray of sunshine. But the power of that, and it seems when you have not only politicians, but corporations or stars or celebrities that have 10 million followers on Twitter for one single individual, the power of the click of that mouse and sending out a message now, you can force feed emotions and cause this tide to just overlap and bounce off of each other. We've never had this before in history, and they're starting, I think the man is starting to figure that out and use it against us. Do you feel that power?
Oh, the power's there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, prior to social networking, you had to rely primarily on, your radio broadcasts and your television broadcasts,
right,
and newspapers for some news and information. Now, with social networking, and social networking primarily is up to a certain age bracket in terms of its grand exposure. A lot of older people still rely primarily on radio, newspapers, and TV. But you've got a lot of people now that are just using the digital age, and they accept things quicker. They grasp things quicker. They hear things quicker. I mean, on my smartphone, I've got alerts on from some of the cable networks and news networks. I mean, it's instantaneous. When something happens, you know about it within seconds after it occurs. That was never the case 20 years ago. I mean, you either had to hear it on the radio or somebody broke in to a TV newscast or program to announce whatever the episode was or the issue. I mean, I'll always remember Cronkite sobering up or crying when John F. Kennedy was killed in 1963. As they broke into regular programming, he took his glasses off. He was all broken up. Now, these things are instant, Jimmy, and they're affecting the mind and the mood of everybody, and I don't see it getting any slower. I think it's going to get faster and faster and faster.
Is it because you can hide behind your cell phone or your keyboard at home and run anonymous, and these emotions or this ability to express like this, either violently or happy, but it was always there, and now everybody has the ability to express themselves, and now they do it freely, but they won't speak about it in public or speak to their family that way, but they'll certainly type it.
It's a pack mentality, and you hide behind an avatar, and you go online, and you find people of similar interests or similar hate, and you just jump in there, and you do whatever you do. I don't know how people have the time to do that. You're too busy. I'm too busy for things like that. I'll spend a little time popping around, doing what I do, but I mean, some of these folks are on the web for hours at a time. I don't know how they do that.
Oh, there's a lot of fake George Noories out there doing it for you.
Oh my God!
So
we try legally and otherwise to squash them whenever they pop up, but it takes time sometimes.
Is there, because of other hosts out there, not necessarily paranormal, we can go political, right, left, or what have you, but they find it easy to go negative. Is there a subject that you, or a few, that you just won't go there because you know it's going to divide and conquer your audience?
We even tried to stay away from the election in terms of the type of coverage that you saw on the networks. We covered it with the mindset of human thought and what's happening, the fact that the president used Twitter, to get some of his messages out, and I think it's going to haunt him if it hasn't already. But it's just a process of learning and gaining and growing, and that's what we've done. We have looked at cases and stories, and we said we don't want to go there. We don't want to touch that. I won't. Though we'll talk about guns, I don't want to talk about gun control. We won't get into abortion. I try not to get into hard religion, though I have had a guest on or two last night, for example, who that's all they wanted to talk about, and I had to move on. But generally, those are the subjects that I leave for mainstream. I want to deal with the mysteries of the mind, the conspiracies, the entertaining portion of radio, what's out there, and issues that really affect people, like GMOs, the power grid, and subjects like that.
You know what's funny? Even if it just doesn't matter, does it, George? You could talk about Egypt and talk about the pyramids, and you can get a really good fight going in the audience just with that subject, right? You don't need to deal with the other negativity out there. We can certainly have a great debate on what a ghost is, or who built the pyramids, or is Bob Lazar for real? We can get a great debate going on just that and not have to touch politics or the ugliness of the world. And it's funny how there is an audience out there that will try to bait us in to that subject just to aggravate us. And how do you combat that? How do you combat a caller that calls up and is, has talked to Tom, screened his way through he's got a question about Rendlesham Forest, and then he brings up Trump with you on the phone? How do you dance?
All right, give me an example. Let's use you as the caller, okay?
Okay.
And you've whittled your way into the show where we're talking about a UFO case, and you've told the screener, primarily Tom, hey, I want to talk about this. I want to ask George or the guest a question. So go ahead.
Okay.
You get through. You're on hold. I go to the line. Let's go east of the Rockies. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, what's up?
Hey, George, great to be on Coast to Coast. And, I have an issue with the way that you don't deal with Donald Trump. And I just think that you hate him, and I think that you're just a Hillary
Jimmy,
lover.
I don't hate anybody. But today we're talking about Rendlesham Forest and that UFO case. So you call me during open lines on Friday, and we'll address that. But mark my word, Jimmy, I don't hate Donald Trump. I didn't hate Hillary Clinton. I call it the way I see it. Thanks for calling.
Have you already dumped me by that point?
Yeah, you're already on hold, or you're off, or something like that while I'm talking.
What's your favorite?
Now, if you had called on a Friday, open lines, let's say,
right,
I would have given you your due, and I would have said, well, where do you get this idea? I hate the guy. What have I said that makes you think that? And the guy would have no answer. He would say, well, you had a guest on who didn't like. I said, oh, that's not me. I try to, and I also had a guest on 2 weeks ago who loved him. So I said, I try to balance this program as much as I can, but where have you heard me say it? And they can't answer that.
Right. You know, my answer, that's a good one. I think I'm going to steal that. But my answer is, you know what? I've spread my disgust equally. it's been
and then if I really get a tough caller, I just say, call Jimmy Church, get off my back. You know.
Email Jimmy at Premier Radio.
Jimmy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the other side of the coin that I find is in our circle, you know, the audience and the people that attend conferences like Conscious Life, where that circle is so full of love and wonderment and the thirst for knowledge. It's like we're almost sheltered from what's going on in the real world too, as well. You know,
it's great. It's great energy. Those kinds of folks are just so fun to be around, and so nice, and so knowledgeable. They're energetic. You can feed off them. I mean, you get more energy being around people like that. And you're absolutely right. Those events, like Conscious Life, tend to cater to and bring in people who are more spiritually inclined, who are more positive inclined. And I like that. I feed off that. I go, as you well know, to as many events around the country as I can handle. And, you know, we're doing some more that we can talk about in a moment. But I feed off that, and I'm sure you do too.
I do. And what I often wonder, because one of the things that I do is I try to filter the news and where I access my news, and I pick and choose what I want to be informed with. Otherwise, you know, I'll just jump off a bridge, you know, somewhere. But
don't do that.
You know, but I think that our world, I think they basically do the same thing, that they shelter themselves and filter the negativity. They don't have time for it. And, you know, they're not sitting around talking about Syria or ISIS or refugees or immigration or walls at these conferences that we go to.
All those issues are all important.
They're
all important as a nation, as individuals.
Sure.
But there's a time and a place for topics like that.
Right. And it's like the negativity is checked at the door. How can we start to spread the word to get others out there to start thinking this way? I mean, I know it's crazy and it's a dream, but it needs to be done. I don't know what to do about this.
Well, you're doing it, Jimmy. I mean, you're doing it every night when you're on Fade to Black. I mean, you are communicating to people. You are bringing up-tempo guests and interesting people to the table. And so whether you know it or not, you're already contributing to the growth and the knowledge of so many people. You're doing it.
Who haven't you interviewed? Who's on your dream list? Who's on your bucket list?
I want Stephen King, the great author. Supermind.
Right.
I want him. We haven't been able to get him. He just doesn't want to do radio. But we'll keep working on it.
That would
and
be.
I would have loved to have interviewed Jesus.
Well, yeah.
What a classic night that would have been.
Well, you're talking to JC right now.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. No, see, I would think that Stephen King would be an easy get for Coast to Coast. You know he listens.
He probably does, but can't get him.
Wow.
We keep trying. I'll also tell you a funny story. I wanted to interview the last remaining member, not counting, of course, Shirley MacLaine. She was an honorary member of the Rat Pack, Joey Bishop.
Ooh.
So when I came to Los Angeles, I told Tom, I said, get me Joey Bishop. He's the last living Rat Pack member with Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, and I want him. And so he found his email. He sent him an email, and I guess a few months later, Joey Bishop died.
Wow.
And Tom came in to me holding a piece of paper after Joey had died, and he said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" He said, "Look at this." It was an email from Joey Bishop to Tom that said, "I'd love to be on Coast to Coast. Get a hold of me, and I'll come down." Tom did not find the email until after Joey had died.
Oh, man. I hope Tom did Tom have a good excuse? What was the excuse?
No, it was just he had so many. There he is running into my office screaming as we.
Oh man! All right, let's. I want to talk about these summer events that you've got going, and the first thing that I want to touch upon really quick is you've got a series of luncheons at one of the great and one of our favorite, Rita's and I's and our family restaurants here in the Valley at the Great Greek Restaurant in Sherman Oaks. Next door, I mean, it's right here. It's one of the great restaurants in the Valley. What a great idea. And you've got, 1, 2, 3 scheduled, February 28th, March 30th, May 17th. And tell us about that.
Oh, this is Tom's brainchild, and it's called Eat and Greet. It's a luncheon series that we will have at the Great Greek Restaurant, as you mentioned, our favorite place in the Sherman Oaks, Studio City area, where people will have an opportunity to come and meet me or Tom or a special guest who's going to be there. And we've got 3 planned so far. And the best thing for people to do, Jimmy, on that is if they want to participate, is send an email to lunchwithgeorge@gmail.com include your phone number, and we'll get back to you to tell you the particulars. It's lunchwithgeorge@gmail.com. It's Tom's idea, and I love meeting people, and so that's what we're going to do, and we're already getting emails into that email address, and we're going to do this.
Man, great event, but great food.
The food at the Great Greek, that Mediterranean diet is fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
And, I love the people there, and hey, I'm going to have some fun with this.
And then
so it's lunchwithgeorge@gmail.com.
And then Friday, you'll be on air Friday night. Conscious Life Expo starts on the 10th, but your events, which are day long on Saturday, kick off at Conscious Life. And what have you got going there?
I'm looking forward to that. You're going to be broadcasting live Friday night for your radio show.
Right.
But I will be there Saturday at Conscious Life. We've got a panel, and we've got an award ceremony afterwards for a number of dignitaries, and so we're gonna really enjoy it. I mean, I do Conscious Life every year, and I've been doing it for I can't remember how many.
Right.
But Saturday night is going to be a fun, action-packed night of panels and award ceremonies and everything. And of course, there's full information on your website and on coasttocoastam.com for that.
Absolutely. And then there's 2 other events I want to cover, and one of them I'm fully jealous about is George Noory Live at Cal State Northridge right here in the Valley. And you've got Bruce Goldberg, Danny Brinkley, and Whitley Strieber. And so what is this like an open panel? How is this event going to take place?
This is a live stage show with me singing, the guests there, and it's at least a 3-hour presentation and show in a theater. And I've been doing that now for several years around the country with just amazing success. And so this one is going to be Saturday, May 6th. And I got to give you information on how to find that. Of course, we have it up at the coasttocoastam.com website, but you can go to Ticketmaster.com, and then in the search engine, you just type in my name because there's so many people that Ticketmaster handles. Or you can call them at 1-800-745-3000, or CSUN has their own phone number. Let me give you that.
Okay.
It's 818-677-3000, 818-677-3000. And it's also going to be interactive. We're going to have a meet and greet after the show, but during the show, the members in the audience will get a chance to talk with Whitley Strieber or Daniel Brinkley or Dr. Bruce Goldberg. And I may or may not even bring somebody up to get a past life regression from Dr. Goldberg if we have time to do that.
Wow.
So it's going to be fun. But the biggest, easiest way is to go to Ticketmaster.com, type in my name in the search engine, and that pops up. And that's going to come up in a couple months. They come up fast. And then we're going to do some other shows, Jimmy, I think, in Seattle area, Indianapolis, Austin, Texas, and Dallas, and also Las Vegas. So it's a busy, which means I'll probably need you to fill in for me on some of those Friday nights.
Yeah, conveniently, this is on Saturday. So, it's in my neighborhood, but I'll be over at Coast hosting. But maybe you can call in and check in during the show on Coast to Coast at night. Yeah?
I may be able to. That's right.
I think that's an idea. It's called marketing.
Marketing and promotion. And nobody does it better than Jimmy Church.
Who's on the show tonight, George? Who's on Coast?
Well, tonight the big part of the show is the second half, where we're going to talk with Stephen LaChance about the exorcism that occurred, that the movie The Exorcist was based on. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the first couple hours, we're going to talk about Edgar Casey from the folks at ARE. So we've got a great classic coast-to-coast show tonight. And, of course, our news of the day with our little coast-to-coast angle to it.
You know what?
I don't want to say spin. I hate using that word.
No,
that sounds like we're trying to manipulate something.
I'll tell you some synchronicity here before I let you go. I'll tell you something really funny about the Great Greek and The Exorcist and me. Right?
Oh,
Are you
really?
ready?
A tie-in with all that?
Yeah. Linda Blair used to live in Sherman Oaks. And I used to see her at the Great Creek.
No way.
Trip on that.
That is trippy.
That's weird. Hey, George, have a great show tonight. Give my best to Tom, and go knock it out of the park. Thank you so
Jimmy.
much.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
George Noory, everybody. Thank you so much, George. And if you go over to the Coast to Coast website right now and you click on George, and then underneath George, right there, it's George's events. Click on that, and everything, the big summer tour for George, is right there. This is Coast to Coast AM. This is Fade to Black. I'm your Jimmy Church. Open lines are next. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Oh, fall. My favorite time of year. Cooler temperatures and, well, let's be honest, layers. Lots and lots of layers. Look, I get it. We all have that favorite hoodie. Matter of fact, I've got a few favorite hoodies. You should wear yours. Enjoy it. I do. But I stay focused on my health year-round. And for me, I take Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. I eat right, control my portion sizes, still maintain a commitment to regular fitness, and I get plenty of rest, and I take Nature's Youth RSF. It's okay to cover up your beach body for a few months, but don't just forget about it. Nature's Youth understands exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products, and Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain peak performance levels and fight the aging process. So layer up and get started today with Nature's Youth RSF. nature'syouth.com. Simple to use, even simpler to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. It's Fader Night. It is Wednesday night. Fader Night. Thank you, George Noory, for doing that drive-by. Jon Rappoport. All right, opening up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. It is open lines. It is your night. This portion of the show is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go right now by clicking the banners at jimmychurchradio.com to getthetea.com. Just mention Jimmy when you order, either online or over the phone. And because you're a Fadernaut and you know Ronnie, you're going to get free shipping. With that, let's go straight to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello?
You're live right now.
Oh, hey, Jimmy, what's up? This is Josh from New Orleans.
Hi, Josh from New Orleans. How are you? Hey, man, were you spared from the tornadoes?
Yeah, different part of the city. It's all good here.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. I mean, whoa, man. Yeah. Okay, but
I got a ghost story for you.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Okay, this is like summer 2004. I came home from college for the summer, and I was doing construction. I was staying with my mom in a house I used to live in. Nothing weird ever happened, but I had a lot of things happen to me from childhood up to then. Nothing crazy, nothing too dramatic. And one night I got home. I only had 5 or 6 hours of time to sleep before I had to go do construction in the morning. I came in and I was sleeping in my old bedroom, which they'd been in that house for about a year. Nothing ever happened, whatever. And I just laying there on the bed, just trying to fall asleep. Had the door kind of shut, lights off. And then the doors just started creaking open by itself. Now I'm like 18. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm laying there, I got my arm over my head, and then like the sequence of events happened, and it's just locked in my memory. Where I had the ceiling fan on at the time, and I was feeling the breeze from the fan, and as I hear the door creak open, I'm thinking to myself, "This is kind of odd." I'm just ignoring it, and it just keeps creaking, open and open, very cliche horror movie door creaking open sound.
Right.
And then I feel the breeze from the ceiling fan. It stops. I don't feel it anymore in the room on my legs. I'm laying in bed, and right as I'm registering that thought of well, that's kind of weird, I get this heat sensation on my leg, and then straight up my back like an electric shock, just like a gut punch, right up my back and in the solar plexus. And I tense up and I instinctively grab a blanket and I throw it over my face, as if I'd felt this before some other time, and this is just that feeling you get in your stomach,
right,
in your spine when something's in your room.
Right.
And I just was frozen. I was like, all right, I got to get out of this room. And I took the blanket off and I kind of fixed my gaze on the door so I could get out of the room as quickly as possible. When I did that, the door was open now, and then there was a Head and Shoulders, like a purple gray Head and Shoulders. Couldn't tell you if it was a male or female. And it was just moving through the room about 5 feet from me, and I screamed like a little girl, and I just bolted right out the room, down the stairs. My brother was there at the time. He was still awake. He was on the phone with someone. He just looked at me like, "What is wrong with you?" and I was just shaking, just total physical reaction. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I went to work the next day on no sleep. I couldn't even really lay down and shut my eyes in that house for a couple days because of the paranoia that something was that the next thing that happened was going to be worse.
Were you raised in New Orleans?
No, this actually happened in Maryland.
Oh, I was going to say, okay, don't you know that New Orleans is completely haunted?
I they say that I've lived all over the country, and I've been in New Orleans for the most time. I actually lived in Woodland Hills for a couple years at one point.
Okay,
but I was nothing really in New Orleans, but it was just
But this happened in Maryland, and I was picturing New Orleans, but this happened in Maryland. Well, Maryland.
Yeah, I was at college in New Orleans at the time, but I was at home for that summer.
Right. I've got a friend from Slidell, and you've got the Slidell accent. I'm just going to let you know. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But Maryland, old, haunted, established. It doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
The house wasn't that old. The house was built 1970. And I down the line, as I told the story more to my mom and got in touch with the former owners of the house, they eventually worked out that someone had died in my room probably 4 years before my mom moved in the 90s.
Right.
And it only seemed to pick on me, which I have not slept in that room since. But the rest of the time I was there, during the hurricane, I had to live with my mom in 2005 for a couple of months. I slept in the living room. I just don't go to that room. And I just don't want to tempt it. It doesn't seem to bother anyone in the house unless I'm there. So
there you. And so, what do you? Before I let you go, I want to thank you, Josh, for the phone call first. But what does that tell you now? You know that this kind of stuff happens. It's for real. When you hear other people tell these stories now, you're probably pretty cool with it.
Oh, I love ghost stories, and I've had lots of other stuff happen when I was little, and some funnier things since. But that was by far the most terrifying because of the physical reaction and the feeling of being singled out, like it was coming in there for me, and It wasn't just footsteps to the hallway and shadows. It was coming into the room. I could see it. It was floating. And the electric shock in my back is something I've never felt since.
That's what I'm talking about. Josh, thank you for the phone call, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, take it easy. Wow, what a great phone call and a great experience. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Ward from Fort Myers.
It's Rourke from Fort Myers.
Ward.
Say it again.
Ward, W-A-R-D.
Ward. How are you, Ward?
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. Doing good. How are you?
Hey. All right. I got to tell you this. I sent you an email today. You probably didn't get it yet, though. I was on this video. There was a video about UFOs or something, and I left a comment on there. And some guy replied to the comment by just putting these letters and numbers instead of a reply. Just puts the letters and numbers. And I looked it up. I Googled them, and they're pictures of Mars. And I tell you, man, this looks like there's a whole bunch of stuff on these pictures from Mars, man.
Wow.
And you just really, yeah.
Yeah, send them to us. I would love to see it.
Yeah, well, if you Google PIA 1380, that pulls up one of them, and then PIA 14890.
TIA. What was the first one? TIA
13800.
No, I'm not getting TIA 1.
No, P as in punk.
Oh, PIA.
Yeah.
PIA. Okay. Oh, there you go. All right. Photojournal, NASA, Mars. Okay.
Now look up in the left-hand corner. Doesn't it look like a huge leaf? This is 1,500.
Well,
this is 1,500 feet.
Right. Yeah, this is a great image. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. I've seen this image before.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I've seen that image before, and I totally agree with you. There's other stuff going on there, though, too, Ward. There's that leaf, but there's all those gold pockets in the rocks. And I've looked at
exactly. Yes.
I've looked at that in high res before, and thank you for reminding me of this. I'm going to bookmark this, and everybody's looking at it right now. So there you go. Thank you, Ward. Hey, be safe out there.
All right, you too. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Mike.
Which Mike?
Well, you know, that one from up north.
Just say Rathbone out loud. How are you, Mike?
Good, man. How you doing?
It's a beautiful night, man. It's Wednesday night, Fader night. Great show so far. Great phone calls, and you called in. So there you go, my brother. How are you?
Here I am. I've been so busy doing some other projects and stuff. But, hey, what I got to say is I'm starting a movement, and I've noticed that you're saying go back to the tepe way less than you say seriously. So every time you say seriously, that's the drink note.
Well, you know why I don't say go Beckley Tepe as much? Because I just want you guys to behave. I think go Beckley Tepe because you guys created that game. It was you, wasn't me, wasn't anybody else. It was you guys. But the thing is, I know I get a certain amount of guilt, right? If I bust out with 30 go Beckley Tepes, I'm not going to have an audience left after 3 hours, right? So,
oh no, we're in.
And so you want to switch it to seriously? Well,
well, I think no. I'm just starting a movement. So, seriously.
Oh man, see, I've already got enough of a complex about saying go Beckley Tepe too much, and then I'll start complexing about seriously. And there you go. You are funny, man. Now let's stay with go Beckley Tepe, and I'll tell you why. It'll help me.
Oh, no. There's nothing you can do about it, Jimmy, because every time you say it now, we're doing it.
And what's your drink of choice?
Well, right now I'm doing the whiskey. It's Canadian whiskey.
Of course.
It's really fine whiskey. It's really nice.
Of course.
It's like our beef.
And, okay, you know, I'm a vodka guy. I'm a martini guy. And then if I swing off of martini, then I go with extremely dark beer. The darker, the better. That's what I do.
Well.
And you know what? Martinis and a dark beer together is pretty good, too. So there you go.
Sounds like a headache. I don't know. I gotta stick with like, you know, I can't do certain name beers and stuff.
Right.
I just get headaches, all the name brands and stuff. So that to me sounded like Red Alert. Just, you know, nice whiskey, sipping whiskey, and you know, deal with that for the night and stick with one. You don't mix it up, and it's like you're doing that stomach check, and oh my god.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I don't need a headache.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Seriously. I'll talk to you. There you go. Mike Rathbone from the Great White North. I think we're going to keep this going right now. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, this is Kendra from Ventura, becoming a bit of a regular here.
How are you, Kendra? What's up?
Couple things. I have a fun trivia thing for FADERNIGHT, and then I have a Ichi experience. So one, for the trivia, I'm going to say two things, and either you or FADERNIGHT can tell me where they come from, and I've been saying them. So one is smoking the beans.
Okay.
While we're slapping the bass. So I'll just share every time I hear the coffee commercial.
Yes.
And you say we're smoking the beans. No matter what I'm doing, I yell out, "I'm smoking the beans," and then it reminds me of there's a film, slapping the bass. Do you know what that's from?
Yeah, that's the movie about being a friend. What was it called?
Yeah. Love you, man.
Love you, man.
Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I love you, man. The bromance. And so I also wanted to share an amazing alien craft experience I had here in Ventura County in the Newberry Park area, Thousand Oaks, years ago, like 97, 98, I think. It was at night. I was driving with my son, who was about 10 or 11 at the time, north on the 23 into Simi Valley.
Right.
That's north of the 101.
Right.
And it's bumper to bumper. And it's probably about 6:30 at night, pitch dark. And I see this kind of a bright light to my left, and we're inching along, so I'm kind of like trying to glance over. And what looked like the size of I thought it was a small airplane falling out of the sky. It was like right there, but it was neon colored. So I'm trying to look while I'm, trying not to hit other cars in front of me, but we're at a crawl. And when I looked again, it basically was shaped like a football, bright neon green, but it looked like it was falling and like spinning kind of out of control, like an airplane would do if it, falls out of the sky, kind of spins. It was like real wobbly spinning, like it was about to crash. And I looked 2 or 3 times seeing this, and I tell my son, Chris, look out the left window, and he's like, yeah, I see that. And then as it looked like it was going to hit the treetops and crash, it just like blinked out. It just disappeared. And I asked my son, I said, okay, what did you just see? And he described exactly what I saw, but in more detail, where the colors went from neon green outside to yellow to like rainbow colors all the way into like a deep purple in the middle of it. So that was pretty amazing. I've had 2 other experiences all kind of in the same area, but I just wanted to share that with you. It was pretty mind-blowing. And I looked in the papers the next day, listened to all the news, nothing. And there were thousands of people on the freeway.
Right.
I know other people saw it, and we were like waiting for like to hear a crash or see an explosion or something.
Right.
It didn't happen. It was really amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. And from now on, whenever we hear the coffee commercial or drink a cup of coffee and are feeling good, I hope all Fadernauts will say, yeah, man, smoking the beans and slapping the bass.
Well, now, and thinking of I Love You, Man, it was Rush. He was slapping the bass to Rush.
Yes.
Yeah, slapping the bass.
And my son and I watched that together, and then from there on out, whenever we were in really good moods, like, hey, like, how you doing? How you feeling? Hey, man, I'm just slapping the bass.
Well,
it's a feel-good sort of. So now I've added smoking the beans onto that.
That's pretty funny. But
I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Jimmy.
You got it, Kendra, and have a great night.
Love you, man.
Love you, man. Right back. I'll say this: Simi Valley, that part of the North Valley is full of more space and tech and government companies out there. Almost probably more than the Mojave Desert out there with Skunk Works. As big as Skunk Works is, and Virgin Galactic and all the other things that are going on out there, and in the Air Force. But in Simi Valley, and you don't have Vandenberg that far away, but Simi Valley, man, you've got Lockheed and Rocketdyne and I could sit here and list all of the companies that are out there. I don't want to freak anybody out with naming something that I shouldn't name. But there's all kinds of drone research and rocket research and documented anti-gravity stuff, as well as missile technology that is going on every single day out there. And to see something strange in the skies that is our future of technology, I don't doubt it. Or the opposite, having E.T. check out Simi Valley and want to know what we're doing research on. You may want to go to Mojave. You may want to go to Houston. I get that. You may want to go to Cape Canaveral or check out what we're doing out there. But here in Southern California, Simi Valley has got more tech going on than just about anywhere else in the United States. And Kendra, thank you for that phone call. There's no telling what you were seeing out there. I remember, before I get back to the phone calls, by the way, 323-825-5045. I remember Jan Harzan the director of MUFON, when he was on Fade to Black, was relaying his experience out there in Thousand Oaks and what he witnessed out there. And that was one of the most incredible sightings I've ever heard. And that comes from Jan Harzan himself from MUFON, and that's right there in Thousand Oaks. All right, 323-825-5045. It is Wednesday night, a very special Fader night tonight. We're going to take the night off, and then Friday night we'll be broadcasting from the Conscious Life Expo. So tonight, it's your night, 323-825-5045. Before I get back to the phone calls, artifacts revealing 8,000 years of human history in London. Now listen, did you hear what I just said? 8,000 years of human history in London are going on show this Friday after being unearthed during the city's giant underground railway project. It's called the Elizabeth Line, which is Europe's biggest infrastructure project, has allowed archaeologists to examine a cross-section of London life along its east-west route beneath the British capital. Now, some 500 objects from the tens of thousands excavated since 2009 in building the line, also known as the Crossrail, by the way, are being revealed to the public for the first time. Part of it, and this is where it gets, uber cool, are skeletons of plague victims, humorous Victorian chamber pots, Roman horseshoes, medieval bone ice skates, and even a 1940s railway company teacup set are among some of the relics on display. Also, a rare medallion of Roman Emperor Philip I from the year 245, only the second example ever found in all of Europe, is also on show in this free exhibition running until September 3rd. I got to tell you, I'm in London. I'm there. I am going. 8,000 years of history on display, and it's totally free. How cool is that? Oh, man. All right. This is the creepy story. Might be of the year, maybe of the decade, might be ever. This just in, by the way, from the electrified desk, a team. This is nuts. A team of MIT scientists have developed an ingestible medical sensor powered by stomach acid. Yes, you heard me right. It's a little capsule with a circuit board powered by stomach acid. When swallowed, the sensor becomes its own battery and beams diagnostics and information straight from your belly. This is what happens when you let surgeons sit, next to electrical engineers at lunch, drinking coffee. It's this kind of crap. But listen to me. The biomedical energy system, which has already been successfully tested on pigs, may be used to develop an entirely new class of internal sensors and drug delivery systems. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This is a capsule with an electronic circuit in it that can transmit information that you swallow and is powered by your stomach acid, and it will last forever as long as you don't do something with it, if you know what I mean. And ingestible medical devices like this aren't new, but they've always had that fundamental problem that I talk about all the time, which is batteries. How many times have I talked about this on this show, right? It's one thing to design nanotechnology or things that you can ingest or implant or whatever. You're limited to batteries, and that includes drones and little dragonfly bumblebee drones. You got to have battery power. Traditional battery systems, even when radically miniaturized, can pose obvious health risk when you get this into your system. And if things break down, then you've got a live battery inside of you that is getting eaten at. Think about that. Well, the miniaturization process itself severely limits the power output. And there's your battery solution defunct. But utilizing the body's own natural acids, the new ingestible device sidesteps that battery issue that I talk about. It sidesteps it altogether. Instead, the device acts as its own voltaic cell, using the surrounding stomach acid to facilitate the electrical circuit. Now, remember, going back to when you were a kid, those lemon-powered batteries that you used to build in science class, we all did it, right? It's essentially the same thing. With lemon batteries, the citric acid connects the two electrodes, usually a galvanized nail and a copper penny. You remember doing that in science class. Researchers simply replicated the system, attaching zinc and copper electrodes to the surface of the ingestible sensor. Now, where does this take things? Right? You don't know. A GPS tracker? There's one idea. It's about as sinister as it gets. And it could be a two-way radio. Right? Undetectable. Things that can go through possibly any type of electronic sensing equipment. Could be anything, right? A metal detector. Think about that for a second. And this is real, and it works. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Going to take a little break right here. Come back with your phone calls. 323. What happened? That was weird. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. If you're on hold, stay right there. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Numana, Legacy, and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest, and Numana are known for high-quality, great-tasting GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I
I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, Fade to Black. It's Wednesday night. Very special Fader night. Open lines. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to everybody. And if you can't get through, just keep calling back. All right? It's that simple. 323-825-5045. And with that, let's go straight back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You're
hello?
Yeah, you're live right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Marilyn. I have a little story. So, I go to Mexico every now and every, 3 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people tell me that they usually have seen this lady that, walks down the street or something. And they call her La Llorona, the Weeper. The story behind it goes that apparently when the Spanish were trying to conquer Mexico, they were going around killing and raping women. And so apparently she had killed her own children and then she committed suicide.
Wow.
So.
And did you see her?
I'm sorry.
Did you see her?
No, I've never seen her, but I know a couple people who have, and they've heard her cry out at night. And there's videos, too, that I've seen, people recording it, when they're in their room, and they're like, oh, my God, I can hear the La Llorona crying. And I'm like, oh, my God, it's really creepy. It's never happened to me, but in my grandma's house, my dad's mom, yeah.
Well,
when I went, I'm sorry.
Well, this is what's funny, Marilyn, and thank you for the phone call. Now that you brought it up, watch the phone calls come in, right? And I can't wait. This is an urban legend that I have not heard about before. So, and now that it's out there, it's Maya Llorona?
Yeah, La Llorona.
Spell it.
L-A and space L-L-O-R-A. No. It's L-L-O-R-N-A.
N-A? Okay.
Llorona. Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot wait to take these phone calls. Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, great phone call. La Llorona. La Llorona. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You're live. 3, 2, 1. Going straight down the line. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You're live right now. Yeah, you're live.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that. But I just want to call and comment on your little rant there earlier. Because I was talking to a guy who was former British SAS, and he actually he knows a pretty good idea of why those countries should be banned. But if Trump took a better approach to stating it, it probably wouldn't be as dividing as it is. And it's really weird that no news media corporations or anything will comment on it. But all those countries, the main thing they have in common is that they don't have proper vetting systems, or they don't have proper agencies to differentiate between people. They don't have the systems in place to even give proper information on the refugees, or they don't willingly give that information away. You know what I mean? But anyways, that was just what I told. But why would news agencies not want to give that out? Because it's very rational, and people wouldn't argue as much over it.
Well, and the other part, though, if you talk to anybody that has immigrated to the United States, they're going to tell you, and I can directly tell you with my own personal life, everybody that I know that has immigrated here went through, and it takes a couple of years. You know, you just don't jump on a plane and arrive here. You've got to deal with the United States Embassy. In a lot of cases, you're probably talking to the ambassador of the United States just to get all of this stuff through. It just doesn't happen automatically. There's I don't know of a vetting process of the country itself, but the United States is the one that is authorizing who is coming in and the process that you have to go through to get that done. And I'm speaking through my own personal experience. I'm not talking about anything I've read or anything like that. I'm talking about my own family and what they had to do to emigrate here. It's not an easy process, and it takes years.
Yeah, but like if the country that you're applying from, if they don't have the proper information on their citizens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they're unwilling to give you whatever information you're asking for.
Right.
All those countries have that in common.
Right.
But also, if
you're
you got
right.
time. Yesterday you guys were talking about time dilation and stuff like that. I just wanted to like me and my buddy one time we were downstairs. I was like 10, and we were playing with toys or whatever, playing with Nintendo. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but I heard, "Greg, I'm home." You know, I was like, "Okay," like wicked. Run upstairs. You know, my dad's home. Run to the door. Nobody's there. Right? He's like,
Right.
"Okay."
Right.
Like whatever. Go back downstairs. My buddy Ryan's like, that was weird, you know, like, I'm not sure if he heard the same thing or not. I'd have to ask him again. It's a long time ago. But, like 30 minutes later, the exact same thing. "Craig, I'm home," and I just froze, I didn't know what to do. But anyways, I walked up the stairs, and he was actually home that time. But, like, I heard that exact same thing, like 30 minutes apart.
Wow.
And then another time, my brother, it was the first time I don't want to say what it was, but anyways, first time he got something, and he was 14, I was like 12, it was 2 years later or so, and we're in the living room, and he's messing around with what he's messing with that he shouldn't have been messing with. Anyways, I look through the curtains, because I'm kind of, like, freaking out, because he shouldn't have what he has, and I see my dad walking up the grass, like, cutting across. He used to walk home from taking the bus, and saw him come right up to the door as I was running downstairs, and my brother was running upstairs. I saw him at the door, right? Go downstairs, heard the door opening. Go downstairs, start throwing the TV, act like everything's cool, you know what I mean?
Right.
And nobody was there, you know? So I go back upstairs, I look around, he's not there. I walk outside, he's not there. Go back downstairs, start watching TV. Boom, I hear the door open.
Yeah, that's...
You know? Like, it was like 10 minutes later. I heard the door open, and he was actually home. He came down, I wouldn't even talk to him.
Yeah.
Messed up, yeah.
Thank you for the phone call. And I'll tell you, that experience, and I'll just tell you right now, that's your dad messing with you. All parents know what's going on in the house, right? And now that you're an adult, you probably look back, and I hope it wasn't paranormal, because that's a great story. But sounds to me like your dad knew what was going on. I want to thank you for the phone call. That was also from Canada. We've got a lot of Canada phone calls tonight. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You're live. Okay, we lost that one. Let's go to this one. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, this is Thomas Zukowski. You know my older brother, Dan.
Oh, no. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm doing great. I'm actually a new listener. You know, my brother turned me on to the show. I've only been listening for about like a week or so, but it's blowing my mind, Jimmy. So you got a new fan.
Man, and you've got a very cool brother, Tom.
I know it.
But yeah, you already know that. So, and thank you for the phone call, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me okay? I'm kind of like outside in West Oakland.
No, I got you loud and clear, my brother. Loud and clear.
All right, cool. So I wanted to, I was hoping I could gather my thoughts a little bit before I, finally called in, but T.O., Thousand Oaks was mentioned. So I wanted to kind of bring this up. My brother and I grew up out there, and we lived in a house on the edge of the wilderness. And so we used to go out there all the time, kind of like hang out, look for snakes, tarantulas, and stuff like that. One night, it was pretty late at night. It was a starry black night, no clouds or anything. And just out of nowhere, the sky became complete daylight. And I'm not talking about, like it seems like there was light emanating from somewhere. It was more like for, a couple seconds, maybe 3 seconds, the whole sky kind of washed over like it cascaded from darkness to pure daylight, as though the sun was out, but there was no visible sun or anything like that. Almost like the sky's eyelid had opened up.
Wow.
And then just like a second or two later, completely swung shut again.
Was Dan with you?
Yeah, we were both there together. We both remember it and talk about it every now and then. But
wow, he's never,
of course, have no explanation.
He's never told me about it, and I can't wait. The next time I see him, I'm going to get all the details, Tom.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be with him at Contact. He's bringing me along. Going to stay at the house and everything, so I'm looking forward to meeting you as well.
It'll be great, Tom, and I look forward to it, my friend.
All right, right on. Thanks.
Right on. Tom, you are an official FADERNIGHT now. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, Jimmy?
Yes.
Hi. Back when that Malaysian flight disappeared, about a day or two after that happened, I was going down to pick up a vehicle at my mechanic shop, and they were taking a car off a wrecker that had run through a barbed wire fence. And the car was pretty well skinned up, and went inside, and the guy was sitting in there, and he was a guy buying futures, corn, and he was going farmer to farmer, and he blew a tire. And those guys move food worldwide, and they're made up of a bunch of, I guess, former special forces guys.
Oh, really?
Anyways, on the TV that was on, the thing came up about Crimea, and I had mentioned to the guy, he said, oh, yeah, I said, that's how Europe gets most of their oil. And he says, yeah, he goes, that's right. And we kind of talked about that for a little bit. And then the Malaysian flight thing came on, and the guy had a funny smirk on his face. And I said, what? He goes, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And I was like, well, shoot, go ahead, tell me. And he says, that flight there had 200 tons of gold on it. I was supposed to be going to China, and that is hijacked. I said, what?
200 tons?
He goes, I know it sounds strange, but he said, you just watch the news, for the coming weeks and see what happens. Well, 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks later, the Russians shot down another Malaysian plane, and they wouldn't let nobody check out the remains for 2 weeks. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And the first reports back from there, they had said that these bodies look like they've been dead longer than 2 weeks.
Well, have you ever looked into how much cargo a Boeing 777 can carry?
400,000 pounds.
400,000 pounds.
I that's what I think it is, but
wow.
I don't know if that's everything from fuel and people. But the funny thing to me about this is China is not really known to be a country to worry about, people that are, disappeared.
Right.
And they and Vietnam both were major players for the first couple of days, wanting to know what happened to this airplane. And then that disappeared. And the guy told me, he goes, yeah, he said, this happened before in '88. There was another flight that another shipment of gold was stolen. And, at that point in time, my vehicle was ready to go, and and he was finishing up, and it was just an odd story it was an odd thing to be around, you know. And there's only a couple of people I've mentioned this to. But I suppose if those flight numbers are really bill of lading numbers, I guess. It's not tattooed on the side of the airplane. It's not, flight 500 or whatever. That's like a bill of lading number for that airline.
Well, I want to find out maximum cargo capacity. Okay, Here we have it here. Okay, let's see. Maximum takeoff weight, maximum landing weight, okay, it's about... it's operating empty limit. Okay, maximum landing weight. It looks like it's about 100 and, well, it's still a lot though, about 140,000 pounds. Now, how much of that would be passengers and how much of that would be luggage and so forth?
Yeah.
And how much is 200 tons? 200 tons. Each ton is what, 5,000 pounds. So that would be about what? I'm trying to do the math in my head live on the air, and I'm not a mathematician. But
I'm not either. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what we do have. We have the smartest audience known to mankind. So we're going to see these numbers pop up here in Twitter. What's your name?
George.
George. Okay. George, is that a pseudonym, George, or is that your real name?
That's a pseudonym.
Yeah, of course it is, George. There's nobody named George except for George Noory. Fair enough. I can respect that. So what we are...
Yeah, it's just kind of I know it sounds like a far-fetched story.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the freighter, the 777 freighter, right, which has probably seating for like 10 people. That has a maximum payload of 224,900 pounds. Okay, so now, but that's with no passengers. Okay, right. So once you start to shift this around and you replace passengers with weight, but somebody is going to get to the bottom of this. And George, thank you for the phone call. Keep your eye on Twitter. And I find
the one thing, I said to him, I said, if they're gonna move a shipment of gold from, say, like Malaysia to Beijing, was that flight headed to Beijing?
Yes.
I said, wouldn't they use military? And he goes, would you really trust a military general from Asia to make sure it gets there? And I was like, well, I guess you got a point there.
Yeah.
He goes, I guarantee that their luggage was never loaded. So I wonder, has anybody ever looked into the fact of, where their luggage was? Was there any?
Yep. All of those come into play. I want to start to play with these numbers and get some answers out of Twitter, and we'll do that before the end of the show. Thank you so much.
But he was pretty adamant about 200 tons, so it seems like, a large amount.
Yeah, we need to do math, and me, I don't have a calculator sitting right here. And plus, touching, look, a ton is 2,000 pounds. See, that's how much of a doofus I am. The emails
so
are
that
coming
would be,
around.
You're talking 400,000, right?
I don't want to trip on it because I'll confuse myself. But George, I promise you, Twitter is already got these answers for us. All right.
And then the other, I don't mean to be on about this, but if you had hijacked a plane like that and you flew it over a war-hot area, they're going to shoot that down to get rid of your evidence, right?
Well, that was always part of the issue with 19. But the thing is that there were a lot of planes flying on that same route, and it was supposed to be safe in that area. But but nonetheless, both situations, especially with Malaysian Air at that time, I think I have to go back and depend on my memory here, but they had like 12 planes, right, in the fleet. 12, and 2 get shot down, back to back. What are the odds? Not shot down, but
what are the odds?
Yeah. All right, George. Thank you. Thank you for the phone.
I know it's a crazy story, but that's what and I don't know. I think it'd be good to float it out there, just see what people, maybe something else will come up. You know what I mean?
Yep, it's all in Twitter right now. You should go and check. It's piling in right now. Thank you so much, George.
You bet. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Great phone call. Right there. Man, you guys are the best. All right. Am I going back north of the border? Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Is this another call from Canada?
Hi, it's me. I'm back. The Central Scrutinizer.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah. No, seriously. I just had to get that in. Seriously. Hey, have a good night, brother.
Okay, Mike. For anybody that wants to know, that's from the Frank Zappa album, Joe's Garage. The Central Scrutinizer. Okay, so all of the facts are here. They're coming in. Let's see what we have here. See, I can't. Airplanes weight. Okay, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Okay, Mark, no, what I need to know, and that's cool. Okay, a 72,000 kilogram payload. That's for the 777-300. Okay, great. But what about the weight of the passengers? What, after that, what are we dealing with? Here's another one, carry capacity of 224,900 pounds. Yes. All right. What is that in a passenger count? And if we have 200 passengers at 200 pounds each, I'm just saying, right? I don't know. Come on, guys. You got to be smart for me because I am not the smart guy. All right, 323-825-5045. More breaking news out of South America. This hit 2 days ago. Hundreds, and when I say hundreds, I mean hundreds. You should see the images of mysterious Stonehenge-like earthworks have been discovered in the Amazon rainforest. And this is according to researchers who have investigated more than 8,000 square miles in Brazil's northwestern state of Acre. The large geometric ditched enclosures have long remained hidden by trees, but with modern deforestation and in combination with Google Earth technology, have now revealed the presence of more than 450 geoglyphs. Now, these are not imaginary. They are big. The carved ditches, just like Stonehenge. Now, remember, when we think of Stonehenge, we're thinking of megalithic rocks. And of course we should, the large stone pillars. Okay, I get that. But Stonehenge is also, and the most probably significant part of Stonehenge, is a ditch. It's a circular ditch. 2 of them, actually. Well, 3. The carved ditches here measure from 36 feet wide, the ditch itself 13 feet deep, the circle, and are between 300 to 1,000 feet in diameter. Okay, Bob just posted a picture up in Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B, and you can check out this image. Look at the size of this. Okay? The features rival the most impressive examples of pre-Columbian monumental architecture anywhere in the Americas. Now, the thing is, the excavations of the geoglyphs, which show a highly formalized architecture made of geometrical circles, but also squares, and now suggest that they were used occasionally as a public gathering site or maybe rituals or ceremonial activities. But they are dating these now to 2,000 years ago and older. These are incredible. You should see it. There is a collection of these photographs. We have them over at Jimmy Church Radio. You guys are posting them now. It's absolutely nuts to see. The more the more that we don't know, the more that we know, the more that we don't know. Who knew? Right? You got to love Google Earth. Now, oh man, I gotta head to a break here in a couple of seconds. But I got to share this with you really quick. How much time do I have? I got a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Curiosity, the rover on Mars right now, its younger sibling is moving one step closer to knowing where to land on Mars, because this week, 3 days of workshops are going to be held right here in Southern California in Monrovia, which is right next to Pasadena, Arcadia, Monrovia, right there, to narrow down the landing sites from 8 candidate locations. Now, you can watch the action on a live stream, by the way, between today and Friday. Mars 2020 is the next step for NASA's search for ancient habitable environments on Mars. The rover can also deposit sample caches for possible sample return missions sometime in the future to pick up materials and bring them back to Earth. The criteria for finding these location sites are A, an astrobiologically relevant ancient environment. Trip on that. B, a returnable cache of rock and regolith samples to yield fundamental scientific discoveries if returned to Earth. C, high confidence that the site fulfills criteria A and B. And there's D, high confidence that the highest value sites can be investigated. And the best for last is E. The site should have water resources of use in future exploration. The 8 sites under consideration right now are the Columbian Hills region of Mars, Eberswald, Holden Crater, Jezero Crater, Marth Valley, Southwest Melee, and the Northeast Syrtis and the Nile Fosse. How crazy is that? And that's why you come to Fade to Black right here. You get smarter. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to take a little break right here. I'll come back, take more of your phone calls, 323-825-5045. You can also follow me on Twitter right now, at JChurchRadio. Get back to these Boeing facts. MH370. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fader Night on a Wednesday. More of your phone calls next. Stay with us.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my... It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. Mm-hmm. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave Moisture Control Units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to jimmychurchradio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Very special Fader night tonight because we're doing it on Wednesday just for you. Great show tonight. I want to thank, of course, Jon Rappoport, George Noory. All of the phone calls tonight have been absolutely fantastic. But at the top of the show tonight, I did mention the situation with our good friend John Anthony West and the Den of Lore telethon that will be happening this Friday. And joining the show right now is Chris George Zuger of Den of Lore, and he's going to tell us about it. Chris, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Jimmy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. And it's a great thing that you are doing right now with this telethon. And I want to thank you for that. And the Fadernauts are behind you. You know that. But tell us about it. And how did you get it put together?
Well, simply put, Cameron from Sacred Geometry International is a friend of mine. We've been getting to know one another online for the last year and a half. I learned from him of John's fight, and John's actually a personal hero of mine. I've been following his work since I was 10 years old. And he dropped the idea, well, Chris, maybe you can do something. You've got you've got some time on your hands. And then we just started kind of working at it, planting the seeds, and it's in 2 weeks it's grown into kind of what it has. When it comes to people like John Anthony West and Graham Hancock, Robert Schock, Laird Scranton, Ed Nightingale, and especially Randall Carlson, they're all guys who strive to get that knowledge out there and they do the work for the passion of it, which is inspiring. And John kind of being the person who pioneered thinking differently about our history, and the fact that he needed help, it's like, well, he's given so much to his work and for us as fans and as followers that being able to kind of give back was something very important to me.
The friends that John has, right? That's the thing. You circle the wagons and you do this. But without John, there is no Graham, right? There is no Robert Schock. Well, I don't mean it like that in such a direct sense, but all of these guys looked to John's research and the way that he has handled this for so very long. You know what I mean? And that's it's times like this where you know who your friends are.
Precisely, and it's a matter that he's touched so many lives that and especially since we as broadcasters and we as people who help promote that work and get that word out there, we benefit a lot from his work directly. The same thing with Noory or Art Bell, yourself. These types of works are what people listen into, and he's been able to inspire these people over the last 25, 30 years with Mystery of the Sphinx, Magical Egypt. These are things that have shaped people from the age of 10 to our age, and allowed them to be able to hope for better and think that we come from somewhere a little more noble than just than the dust, as it were.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. The first time that I saw Magical Egypt, right, and the intro and his narration, and he's standing in this it's I don't want to say if it's a hallway, but he's standing amongst these pillars, right, and he turns and he looks at the camera, right, and then and it cuts to the scene. But the way that I was like, this is my guy. This is my dude right here. I just, it's like, this is my guy. And certainly we become friends, but that's so far off to the side. I respect him so much for his knowledge. And Rita and I were just in New York, and we went to the Met, and we go through the Egypt exhibit. And after we were done with that, Rita and I were in Central Park. And who do I call? Right? I called John Anthony West, man. I'm like, dude, I'm here. And he goes, yeah, I just got back from Egypt. And we sat and talked about the exhibit over there. He knew every single thing and I was on the phone with him for a good hour, walking through Central Park and just talking about Egypt. I mean, he is Egypt. And I think that all of us, all of the friends and the family of this show, just go check out the telethon. And sure, you've got the best of the best that are going to be participating in this. And of course, we just mentioned Graham Hancock and Schock and Scranton and Nightingale and Carlson. But you've got myself. I'm going to be on the show too as well. Joe Rogan. You got Greg from Higher Side Chats. I hope he behaves himself, but, and how did you line this up? Was it easy?
A lot of sleepless nights. I've been working at this off and on for about 14 hours a day for the last 2 weeks straight, just contacting everybody, organizing everybody, just coordinating between, 10 or 15 different people, seeing who can do what on what day. We've got the telethon this week. We're probably going to do like a Magical Egypt fight companion, as it were, the week after that. Kind of basically it's going to be like a month and a half worth of just Egypt stuff until the Fundley campaign is done, to try and keep as much eyes and ears on it. Just because it's a good cause, and I've been working very closely with Kay Roop, who's a very good friend of John Anthony West, to try and get everything lined up. And if it weren't for the guys at Sacred Geometry International, this would be a lot harder and a lot tougher. And wow, it's just been an absolutely magical ride.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. When do things kick off on Friday?
Friday we kick off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on YouTube. Just search for Den of Lore; it'll pop up. And that's also 7:30 Central, and I believe it's 5:30 Pacific, 6:30 Mountain Time. And I did want to be able to say one thing. We wouldn't have been able to do this, actually, if it weren't for your inspiration. Jimmy, you're actually a personal hero of mine when it comes to radio broadcasting. You're one of the reasons that I actually started this show, and I've been following Fade to Black since day one. And actually, the John Anthony West episode 7 that you did about 3 years ago was the first Fade to Black episode that I listened to.
Oh, yeah. That episode with John was one of my favorite conversations that I've ever had. And thank you for saying that, because that one stands out for me too as well. And I'll tell you, I'll share one thing. I wanted to save this for the telethon, but I'll say this. This is 3-4 years ago. We're at Contact in the Desert, and we just wrapped the show. It's 10 o'clock, and I talked to John earlier that night, and I think Linda Moulton Howe. And they were running around together. And I said, okay, I want to get you guys on the show. Yeah, we'll be there. So anyway, we were there, and coming down, it's at night, we're outside under the stars. And they come walking down, Linda and John, and sat down and went live on the air late at night. Late, man. It's 9 o'clock at night. And they sat down, and we had the best time ever. And he is just one of the coolest guys. He is so cool. I have sat with him, of course, not only on the show, but I've sat with him. Just sat down and just talked to him. And he's just one of the inspirations for so many people out there. So many people reference back to him. And when you get to that kind of position in life like John has, I don't think he realizes, because he's so focused on Egypt, I don't think he realizes or has any scope about his influence on our circle, because it's just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So I just want to thank you ahead of time before doing this event on Friday. That we thank you for that. And what is the best way for everybody to get information right now? I know we crashed your website earlier tonight, but, that's the power of the Fadernauts, man, and we mentioned something like this, and they are going to respond. But what's the best way to get information?
The best, most reliable way that won't... Well, again, you can check out denoflore.com. That's denoflore.com. Or if you want to... or if heaven forbid, if there comes to a point where hundreds of thousands of people are rushing to that site right now, and I'm monitoring the server as we're talking, you can also check out Den of Lore, youtube.com/Den of Lore. It's the live event that we have scheduled. All the information that's on the telethon post on our page is actually in that posting. In addition, Sacred Geometry International has the same posting on their website as well.
Yeah, I think Jaws has got it on his website too. Okay, so
yes, he does.
Yep,
and the links to the Fundly campaign. Just to give you guys a heads up, they're currently, as it stands right now, they're at about $67,000. We're trying to raise about $155 total over the next 50 or so days. So. If you search in Google John Anthony West Project Fundly, Fundly, that'll bring you right to the Fundly page.
Well, we'll take care of that $155 by Sunday night. All right. Hey,
Jimmy,
Chris,
thank you very much. You're a very good man. I appreciate the help.
Yeah, we've got your back, and we've got John's back. Jaws is a very, very, very special gentleman. Okay, and he's probably listening right now. So just thank you, and we'll see you on Friday over on the telethon. Thank you so much, Chris.
Wonderful. Good luck at the expo.
Oh man, thank you so much, Chris.
Not a problem. Have a good night.
Okay, you got it. There you go. George Zuger of Den of Lore. And do go to denoflore.com. Everything is there, the Fundly campaign. And if you can't get through there, I know that we crashed his website tonight, but I love that. It made me feel great. But you can go to John Anthony West's website, and you can go to Sacred Geometry too as well. All of that information is there. The telethon kicks off, you heard it, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 5:30 here in Los Angeles. And that's right, yours truly will be there with, he's got the right guys, man. He's got Graham Hancock, Robert Schock, Laird Scranton, Edward Nightingale, Randall Carlson, Joe Rogan, Greg from Higher Side Chats, Darren and Graham from Grammarica, and, of course, yours truly will be there. Okay? All right, denoflore.com. Thank you so much, Chris. That is just, it brings a tear to my eye that that we are able to do this, and that is the point. All right. I had mentioned on the show last night, and man, I'm just so bummed about John Anthony West. But he's going to be okay. And see, the thing is, the reason why this is being done is he has hooked up, the right doctor has reached out to him. And this particular doctor is not covered by traditional insurance. So that's it. We're going to go ahead and do our best to take care of his medical expenses for this cancer treatment. It is stage 4 cancer. All right, Jaws, we got your back, brother. And I really look forward to doing what we can here from Fade to Black on the telethon on Friday. All right. As mentioned last night on the show, I wanted to get to this because it's one of the most amazing developments in mankind. And it's building a functional, large-scale quantum computer because it is indeed the holy grail of physics. Such a computer, which was first theorized by Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman back in 1982, would harness that strange and nearly magical property of quantum particles to perform those calculations several billion times faster than any of our most powerful supercomputers today. An international team of researchers based at the University of Sussex published what it describes as the first ever open source blueprint for constructing a large-scale quantum computer. While Google and other high-profile researchers have made impressive progress proving the viability of quantum computing, the Sussex team claims that its nuts and bolts construction plan is a major step toward a working prototype. Now listen to this. In a normal computer, the smallest computational unit is a bit. We know that, which is represented as a 0 or a 1. Now digest this. Just listen to me. In a quantum computer, each quantum bit, or qubit, is expressed by an individual charged particle or ion. Thanks to the oddity of quantum physics, that ion can not only be a 0 or a 1, but both at the same time. Are you with me on this? It's this superpositioning that is one of the reasons why quantum computers can greatly magnify the processing power of a normal transistor-based system. The other is, my favorite word, entanglement. That physics trick in which two separate particles are linked in such a way that any action performed on one instantly occurs in the other. Now, if you take this concept, instantaneous, electricity is already really fast. A circuit is really fast. Gold circuitry is really fast. But quantum entanglement, an instantaneous reaction with those ions that can not only be a 1 or a 0 or both, and doing these calculations and the maneuvering that would be going on a microchip, on a processor, on an instantaneous scale, boggles the mind. It just flips me out, and it should flip you out too. And we're getting really, really close. What they have published is the actual blueprint, the way of getting it done. And it looks viable, and it looks like it's ready. And it is indeed the next step. I can't imagine. I just can't. But we're there. All right. Man, I'm just excited about this. And more on this as this develops. They're talking about building this now. Now, I read some stuff that was released in the last 24 hours on this. This first supercomputer, this quantum computer, they're talking about it taking up the space of a football field. Yeah. Now, and I know what you're thinking. You know, quantum, it's got to be really small, and we're dealing with ions. Yeah, but they've got to get the first stage done. but it's the thought of how it is going to calculate, right? And how fast it will be. Instantaneous, right? And you got to keep this thing cool. So that's all part of it, but they've got it done. All right. The Guinness Book of World Records has inducted the world's largest Ouija board. Yeah. Located in Windber, Pennsylvania, the historic Grand Midway Hotel was built over 100 years ago and is allegedly haunted. And now it has the world's largest Ouija board painted on its roof. I've seen the Google images, by the way. Measuring 1,302 square feet, the rooftop Ouija board was hand-painted, and the supersized planchette is outfitted with a set of wheels. And it's crazy. Now, I always talk about the dangers of a Ouija board. How would you like to have one on the entire roof of your house and a planchette that you're rolling around like a shopping cart? That's nuts. That's nuts. You're really asking for trouble. And now, one of the cool things, and, I'll get to the end of this, but I got to get to the beginning first. If you were looking to surf, on a giant curved monitor, Acer has one ready, and they're about to take your money. You walk into Costco, you walk into Best Buy, and that's what everybody's got now, right? The curved flat screens, right? And they look cool. But a computer monitor? Now we're in business. Theirs is called the XR34 2CQK. It was announced last June. It is a 37.5-inch, 21:9 ratio, 3440 by 1600 resolution monitor with a 2300 millimeter radius curvature. And it's now available for $1,300 in the United States. Now that's right. I want you to listen to me. It's a 38-inch curved monitor. Over 3 feet of glorious continuous internet. Now think about this. I want 3. End-to-end touching 3. I want a curved monitor in front of me in the middle because right here I have a 3-monitor bar. Okay, I've got 4 monitors and 5 monitors in front of me. Well, one's off to my right, so it's not actually in front of me, but I've got 4 in front of me. 3 are mounted, 3 24-inch monitors that are mounted on a bar, right? And I've got them, leaned in on the side, so I've kind of got the curved effect. But these are 24-inch. Imagine. And so I guess this is 6 feet probably wide in front of me. It's cool. I dig it. But can you imagine 3 30-inch curved monitors end to end in the bunker? That's over 9 feet. 9 feet wide of just a giant curved space. I want it so bad. I really do. $1,300 each, though. I got to wait till they come down. Right now you go, I suppose you can get a 21-inch monitor for about $80, right? You remember when those things were $500 each? So I'm going to have to wait a little bit. But I got the feeling here soon, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, I'm going to have me 9 feet of curved continuous net, man, right in front of me. All right, I got to warn all of you Xbox and PSP gamers. A lot of you may have had your personal details hacked. A data breach of 2 popular gaming forums has exposed the account details of 2.5 million users, potentially opening up their online accounts to attack by hackers. The Xbox 360 and PSP ISOs, which host game downloaded files, were hacked in September 2015. It was just revealed last week. 2.5 million users' personal information hacked. Most of them probably kids. Well, half. The other half are the adults that are too old to play video games, like me. But we don't do the forums. Don't think I'm doing Call of Duty online with a headset. That's Rita. not me. Marijuana regulators, I got some marijuana news for you. In Alaska, last Thursday, narrowly rejected a proposal that would have made the state the first in the nation to allow marijuana consumers to use pot that they just bought at the retail stores selling it. In other words, you buy the weed and you just fire up right there in the store. In a 3-2 vote, Alaska, man, out of control. In a 3-2 vote, almost passed, by the way. Couldn't get that swing vote, right? In a 3-2 vote, the Alaska Marijuana Control Board decided not to allow it, prompting criticism from retailers who vowed to continue to press for some sort of allowable marijuana use in their stores. It's too cold outside, man. Let them smoke the Mary Jane. The proposed new rules would have let people buy marijuana products in authorized stores, but actually go into a separate store area to partake in the Mary Jane. It's too cold outside, man. It's just too cold outside. So I guess you buy your weed in Alaska and you got to go outside. And you know what? It's not fun puffing in the freezing cold. You want to be warm indoors with some music, right? Come on, Alaska. One of the good news stories of the day right now. Krispy Kreme just revamped its coffee. That's right. They're trying to get up to the level of Fade to Black blend and to tempt users into giving it a taste instead of the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. The chain is tossing in a free donut with every purchase. That's right. Krispy Kreme gave you a donut. It's another Frank Zappa reference. The special offer isn't a one-day promotion either. You can get a free donut every time you buy a coffee at Krispy Kreme for 3 full weeks, starting February 6th, 2 days ago, and ending February 28th. Krispy Kreme will provide customers with a free original glazed donut when they purchase a coffee in any size. No coupon is required, and customers may take advantage of as many free donuts as they can handle while the deal is valid. That's right. You drink your coffee, go buy another one, get another donut. That's 2 coffees, 2 donuts, and you're jacked all day long. You got to hand it to Krispy Kreme. They're doing everything they can to top the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. And this has been our special edition of Fader Night on a Wednesday. Thank you, Jon Rappoport. Thank you, George Noory. Thank you, George Zuger, Den of Lore, and the Telethon. Thank you to everybody that called in tonight. Fantastic phone calls. You guys make Fader Night so special. You do. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Remember, tomorrow night, Best of Replay. We're taking the night off. We'll see everybody right here Friday night from the Conscious Life Expo. If you can't be there, get yourself the live stream feed. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com. I'll see you guys Friday. Go back, Lee Tappy.